This is Juan Ventura, period 4, talking about musical events that change history. So the one I picked was from 1987, which the summary was, though African, Latin American, and other genres of international music have been around for centuries, a small group, London-based labels coined the term world music, which helps record sellers find rack space for electric music. So I want to talk about what happened or what has happened since that time. 2 decades ago, world music didn't exist, the term, or at least not as a marketing term. This was time when the this was the time when the reggae boom was past, when Paul Simon had popularized South African music with Graceland. And interest in Europe music was growing thanks to Le Mistre des Volksbogars. I really don't know how to pronounce the name. No one knew how all this music should be promoted. And so on June 29th, 1987, a group of music enthusiasts involved in the running of independent record labels met in London pub. The Empress of Russia to discuss how they might market music from around the world. The group, the group of the London-based labels, um, were DJ Charlie Gillette, Ian Anderson, which is who is now editor of F Roots magazine, record producer Joe Boyd, and Leanne Scott. They decided on a joint campaign to put world music boxes in record stores to promote their products. This that just putting those in stores to promote their products would cost about 3,500 pounds, but it was financed by 11 indie record labels. So it was financed by the music that they would get from their record labels and stuff, which is basically what that means. It was a simple decision for them to promote their products, but the result has been remarkable. African bands find a new global market, as have Latin musicians, notably Cuba's Buena Vista Social Club, and artists from Asia and Europe. The annual WOMAD Festival, which is held this year, 2020, from July 23rd to the 25th, is always sold out, while Radio 3 devotes considerable airtime to world music and hosts the annual World Music Awards. Um, there is some information here about the participants of creating the marketing term road music. As I said, which it was a London-based labels coined the term world music, and the members that were in it were DJ Charlie Gillette, Ian Anderson, record producer Joe Boyd, and Lion Scott. Those are the people that were members of the London-based labels. They have some things here that they said about what's happening in creating the term, and other questions that might have been asked to them. There's some research that I searched up that they answered. So DJ Charlie Gillette, sorry, said we had a very simple, small ambition. It was all geared to record shops. That was the only thing we were thinking about. In America, King Sunday Aid, he was from Nigeria, was being filled under reggae. was being filed, my bad, under reggae. That was the only place shops could think to put him, could think of to put him. In Britain, they didn't know where to put this music. I think Aid was just lost in the alphabet next to Abba. In 1985, Paul Simmons did Graceland, and that burst everything wide open. Because he created an interesting in South African music, people were going into shops saying, I want some of that stuff. Like, I want some of the labels that have world music on it. Most like they would go into shops and go, oh, I want that stuff, the one that has the world music label on it. But there wasn't anywhere for them to look, basically meaning they would be sold out. Those labels that, the ones that had the world music on it, would be sold out, is basically what he's saying. Another member of the London-based labels is Lion Scott. He was, as I said, he was a record producer, just like Joe Boyd. He said that the engine driving the phenomenon was Africa, which I said in the summary. It says, though African, Latin American, and other genres of international music have been around for centuries, meaning Africa has been there for a long time. So what he's talking about is that the engine driving the phenomenon, which was the engine driving the marketing sales going up, was Africa. But the Skez Africa's guys, but then they were responsibly for the highly success of Boondoo Boys, were against it, meaning they didn't like either the term or the word or most things like that. That's the information that I got out of him speaking on the term world music. Basically, what I'm telling you is them speaking on the term of them getting questions asked, speaking on what was happening when they created the marketing term world music, and what happened when they were thinking of putting it in stores and showing off their record labels and most stuff like that. Another member was Ian Anderson. He said, but that was only the unpleasantness that passed in any of the meetings. Meaning, that was like something extra because they already knew that they weren't against it. So every time they would bring it up, it would be like unpleasant. Like, it would mean like, oh, fine, this and this. These guys, Africa's guys, are against the marketing term world music. They don't like it in stores and stuff like that, meaning they were against it. And in any, Ian Anderson also said, in any other part of music business, it would be inconceivable that a bunch of record companies actually cooperated. Meaning it would be crazy that all these other record companies would agree to work with the marketing term world music and stuff. And the last person, the last member of this group, Joe Boyd, which was a record producer as well as Leanne Scott, said the remedy we found in the meetings here worked, though it was the most cost-effective thing you could imagine. 3,500 quid, and you get a whole genre and a whole section of record stores today.